Imagine you're walking through a parking lot and suddenly you freeze. There it is, a massive, gleaming ocean blue machine sitting under the sun like it owns the entire universe. You don't know why, but you can't look away. That's not just a car. That's a 1965 Chevrolet Impala SS. And trust me, by the time this video is over, you're going to see this legend in a way you never have before. Because behind that gorgeous chrome grille and those iconic quad headlights, there are secrets, surprises, and facts so strange that even die-hard Chevy fans get them wrong. So buckle up, this ride is about to get very interesting. Let's start with something that surprises almost everyone. The 1965 Impala SS wasn't just popular, it was historically popular. Chevrolet sold over 1 million Impalas in 1965 alone, making it the best-selling car in the entire United States that year. Think about that for a second. Not the best-selling Chevy, not the best-selling American car, the best-selling car, period. In a decade filled with incredible competition, the Impala SS crushed everyone. That kind of number hasn't been matched by a single model in decades. So right from the start, this car wasn't playing games. Now here's where it gets a little weird. The SS badge, which stands for Super Sport, wasn't actually a separate model in the traditional sense. It was more of an option package. That means a buyer in 1965 could walk into a Chevy dealership, pick a base Impala, and simply check a box to make it an SS for around $160 extra. You got bucket seats, a center console, SS badging, and that unmistakable sporty identity. It sounds simple, but that marketing decision was genius. It made the SS dream accessible to the average American, and the average American went absolutely crazy for it. Speaking of options, here's a fact that blows people's minds. The 1965 Impala SS was available with 7 different engine choices. 7. You could go mild with a 250 cubic inch inline 6, or you could go absolutely wild with the legendary 425 horsepower L72 427 cubic inch V8. An engine so powerful that Chevrolet was actually nervous about publicly advertising its full output. At the time, the auto industry had a gentleman's agreement not to promote cars with more than 1 horsepower per pound of vehicle weight. So Chevy quietly listed it at a conservative number. The real power? That was a secret between the driver and the road. Here's something the history books rarely mention. The roofline you see on this car, that beautiful, sweeping, fastback style hardtop, was not just designed to look good. Chevrolet's engineers spent serious wind tunnel time refining it. The 1965 Impala had a significantly more aerodynamic profile than its 1964 predecessor, and NASCAR teams noticed immediately. In fact, the Impala was a dominant force on the stock car circuit throughout the mid-1960s, and that roofline was a big reason why. Beauty and performance engineered together. That was the Impala SS philosophy. Now let's talk about the interior, because this is where things get surprisingly emotional. The 1965 Impala SS came with a cockpit-style cabin that felt almost futuristic for its time. The dashboard was wide, symmetrical, and pilot-inspired. The bucket seats hugged you like the car actually wanted you to stay. And then there was the steering wheel, a thin, sporty 3-spoke design that looked like it belonged in a spaceship more than a family car. In 1965, most American cars still felt like living rooms on wheels. The Impala SS felt like a mission control center. That difference mattered deeply to a generation of young drivers who wanted to feel like they were going somewhere important. Here's a weird one. The 1965 Impala SS had a feature called comfort control, air conditioning, and it was considered so advanced and so luxurious at the time that many buyers actually skipped it because they thought it would make the car feel too fancy and soft for a super sport. The SS had this strange identity tension. It was a performance car that was also deeply comfortable, which confused buyers who thought performance meant suffering. Today, of course, we understand that you can have both, but in 1965, that was a radical idea. Let's talk about pop culture, because the Impala SS didn't just live on roads. It lived on screens, in songs, and in the American imagination. The lowrider culture that exploded across California in the late 1960s and 1970s was built almost entirely on the backbone of the '65 Impala. It became a canvas, a rolling work of art that communities transformed into something deeply personal and deeply beautiful. Hydraulics, custom paint, chrome everything. The '65 Impala SS became a cultural symbol of pride, creativity, and identity in ways that General Motors never planned for and could never have manufactured. That kind of legacy isn't bought, it's earned. Here's a technical fact that surprises engineers even today. The 1965 Impala rode on a 119-inch wheelbase, one of the longest in its class. But despite its size, the car had a remarkably low center of gravity thanks to its perimeter frame design. This gave the Impala SS a planted, confident feel at high speeds that smaller competitors simply couldn't match. Drivers described it as feeling like the road was being pulled under the car rather than the car being pushed over the road. That sensation, that feeling of effortless authority, is something that modern cars spend billions of engineering dollars trying to recreate. Now for perhaps the strangest fact of all, despite being one of the most iconic American cars ever built, the 1965 Impala SS was nearly canceled before production. During the early design phase, some executives at General Motors argued that investing in a premium sport version of the Impala was too risky, that buyers wanted economy, not excitement. One internal report reportedly described the SS concept as an unnecessary extravagance. Fortunately, wiser voices won the argument. But just think about that for a moment. The car that became a million-unit bestseller, a NASCAR warrior, a cultural icon, and a collector's dream almost never existed. And finally, let's talk about value. A well-maintained 1965 Chevrolet Impala SS in good condition today can fetch anywhere between $50,000 at auction, depending on the engine, options, and originality. A car that rolled off the assembly line for roughly $3,000 in 1965 has multiplied in value by 30 times or more. But here's what's truly remarkable. The people who own these cars mostly don't talk about the money. They talk about the feeling, the way the engine sounds, the way the chrome catches the light, the way strangers walk up and smile. Because somewhere deep in their memory, this car means something. That's not depreciation. That's immortality. The 1965 Chevrolet Impala SS was never just transportation. It was a statement, a feeling, a piece of American history that somehow managed to be a race car, a luxury cruiser, a cultural icon, and a working family car, all at the same time. 60 years later, it still stops people in parking lots. It still makes jaws drop, and now you know exactly why. If this video gave you a new appreciation for one of the greatest machines ever built, hit that like button, subscribe to GearTales, and tell me in the comments, if you could drive any classic car for just one day, would you choose the '65 Impala SS? I think you already know your answer.